Welcome back to the Rock and Roll channel. I got Brian Smith, my main man, in here for a quick hitter. We're gonna keep it quick because he got things to do, and this was short notice. And I just wanted to chat with him. And him and we start talking, and I forget to hit the go live button a lot. I'm glad he reminded me too. So, Brian, man, I just thought a quick talk. We beat the Florida State drum to a T. I am even more convinced now, if I wasn't before, and I'll say it. I don't care what anyone thinks. Mike Norvell does not want to be at Florida State one bit. I think he hates it here now. I think he doesn't like it, and I think he's strictly there just for the paycheck. His body language reflects that. He showed it, and now his team shows it. His loser and checked out mentality has trickled to the team horribly. What's your take on how he is now post us keeping him?
I need to see a little bit of the signing day press conference to answer that, but my first reaction is I don't know how much. I think Mike likes coaching football. I'll say that, but I just don't think he's at this point. He's pretty tough skinned considering all the commentary for myself and everybody else. But at some point, no matter who you are, it will wear on you because we're all human. To that end, he doesn't have any other options. So he's going to do what's best for his family and take the paycheck. So I think it's somewhere in between where you and I are is probably the truth. But regardless, he's not bought in 100%. Even if he was, he's not a good enough coach. So I don't care.
Yeah,
So,
I agree. No,
and
and if you can't rally a team for a rivalry game against Florida, who beat you last year, who planted a flag in your field, what are we doing here?
exactly. So I expect mid-level results again next year between 5 and 7 wins, depending on injury and this and that. There's three things I want to hit on today. One, I have no idea, but it's critical. Does Gus come back? And if he does, it's almost a lock that Tommy Castellanos comes back. What do we think of that? I don't think that's a good thing, but that's Gus is his guy, and the university doesn't want to spend money. So if you change coaches, you're probably spending money. Secondarily, um, there's no nice way to say this, and we've touched on it before. I believe they're going to have to overspend massively in the portal to get the same player that, let's just say they were going to go to Miami or to Georgia or whatever. If you're going to take me because you guys aren't as good, you have to pay more. That's my guess. I could be wrong on that.
We call it the Florida State tax. A tax for something.
And then finally, with recruiting and the portal combined, this is the big subject, and it's really touchy. They're trying to keep Mike around. They don't want to fire him. They don't want to pay the buyout. Well, the best way to keep people off their back, meaning the administration, board of trustees, is to give him as much help as he can get in the portal, which in general is okay. But the only way the program is going to get to the level that it aspires to be is to do the opposite. And I know this next line is probably not going to make very many people happy. You have to go through a season that is as bad, if not worse than this year, where you just play all the younger guys that are high school guys. You got to gain the trust of the high school coaches in Florida and Georgia because they portaled over guys for so long. It's a problem. And secondarily, that portal thing will keep Mike afloat and more likely to make him bowl eligible next year. So do I think that's going to happen? Probably not. They need to also, in other words, dump the money. Like you got to take some portal guys, but you need to take most of whatever you have to spend for NIL and dump it into the high school ranks for 27 after the 26 class is complete on Wednesday. And I'm not buying that's going to happen. You're going to have to prove me wrong on that.
No, I agree. And the horrible thing about this year is, as bad as we were, we really didn't develop any young guys or get guys experience for next year.
They're a handful, but it's not enough. Like the Desir twins played out of necessity and it worked out. Okay.
Yeah,
Marno got in after injury. He's good. Okay. Sometimes you walk into it. I'm cool with that. Don't get me wrong. Like these guys are all good.
If you told me before the year that the Sears would have the year they have, I would have laughed.
Yeah, I know, but like that's why football is so much fun, though, isn't it? Because it's a developmental sport. It's a team sport, and especially with the weightlifting and all that stuff. Yeah. Like when those guys walked in and I saw a photo, I'm like, I remember seeing them at a practice down at their high school a couple of years ago. They didn't look like that. Like they developed. You know, it's just it's why football is so different than just about any other sport.
Yeah, I completely agree. There's so many variables to be successful in football. A lot of other sports.
And by the way, shout out to them for being so motivated to get in that kind of shape and do that. Wish more kids were that motivated like the Desir twins. It'd make life a lot better for me.
I'll tell you, give me 100 Desir twins and we'll win. They're just that kind of guys. I mean, I watched their first press conference before the year.
like they did really well, and they don't act it like on
No,
social media or not. Like those guys are Bobby Bowden kind of guys.
they're all business in a good way.
Yeah,
Their
yeah.
first press conference, I think it was Daryl up there. And when I say these guys are identical, man, it's
Oh yeah, I can't tell them apart.
you can't. And they go, Mantrelli goes, I'm Daryl. He sounded like a 40-year-old like businessman. And they go, we're so sorry. We're so sorry. We thought he goes, I get it all the time. Don't worry. Like it was all.
Yeah, they gotta wear something like wristbands or something that are different. That's the only way people are going to know.
I know that's why beginning of the year I was like, are they just saying twins because there's one guy that stands out and they can't tell them apart?
I don't think
And
anybody really can because they don't do their
now
hair different or nothing.
they're both awesome.
Yeah.
Love it. There's not like one's better than the other in that sense. But yeah, we didn't develop young guys at all this year. Chroma should have got a lot more touches. Javon Boggs was hurt. I understand. A guy like Lucas Simmons, and you said it before the year, and I want to just give you props. He doesn't play this year. Forget it with him. Minaso Itate didn't see the field. Like I don't get Mike. I've ripped Josh Dorrance for years. I was the only guy that really did for a while. And I'm not bragging. I'm just saying I can watch from coaching, from going to the gym. I can see guys who are physically fit on teams compared to others, especially 10, 11, 12 games in. Our guys get pushed around like it's nobody's business. Josh Dorrance.
Florida, think about this now. This is fact. They were down 31-0 at home the week before the Nobles came to town, and you just got blasted by them.
And I understand we're not Tennessee, but come on. And you knew Jaden Ball was going to get the football, and they were going to make every effort to give him the ball. You knew their game plan. It wasn't a case of, man, where'd this guy come from? All weekend, and you said it, man. If Jaden Ball,
he's good.
They don't bother to tackle
a player.
Yeah, like when I went to Michigan, Ohio State over the weekend, and just it hit me even more when I'm driving to the game, and I listened to your podcast on the way. I listened to other people's stuff, and the number one thing people talked about was, will we even care to show up?
Yeah, I didn't know how that would go, and I mentioned it. I said it wouldn't surprise me if Florida State won by 2 touchdowns or lost by 2 touchdowns, and that's pretty much what it was. Like Florida showed up more than FSU did. Saturday.
Right, and it hit me. It's just like, I mean, I went to school in the 90s there. You didn't have to worry about that. Like, it hit me. And then I'm talking to Michigan, Ohio State fans, and I'm telling them, they're asking me about our game, and I'm telling them about that variable. And they just couldn't fathom it because of the hatred they have for the other school, how bad they want to beat them, that they would rather go 1-11 with a win against that other school than go like Ohio State did last year. And it just hit me walking in like, these are two fan bases that care. These are two administrations that care. I understand they have more money than us. Like, I understand that. But it hit me even more this year than last year there.
At some point, as much as we bag on Mike and some of the coaches' administration, there has to be some player-led leadership as well. And this is, I'll just go and make this short. I know this is my soapbox time here, but
please.
The portal players aren't as likely to be as bought in. There are some exceptions. Like Daryl is different. He's from the area. Okay, that's different. Like he transferred back home. The high school he went to is 20 minutes from Tallahassee. Okay. But by and large, your leaders are going to come from the high school ranks.
Right.
Just do a mental check in your head right now, like wherever you're at, listening or watching this podcast, whatever. How many guys would you say were leaders on FSU's team, just in general? And then think to yourself, how many of those guys were high school recruits for Florida State?
On defense, the first one that comes to mind is Earl Little. He was not a high school recruit. We tried hard to get him out of high school, but we didn't.
Everybody did. He went to Baylor.
Yeah, he was 5-star all-world. On offense, and I talked about that with the Michigan Ohio State fans. I said, we have one-year rentals. As much as they claim to care, they don't embody the rivalry like you guys do because you recruit high school first and then go into the portal.
Both Michigan and Ohio State.
I said you guys
recruit high
school. And I know this is not a Michigan Ohio State podcast. I'm just saying from both perspectives. Yeah. And I said, you guys, they come in, they're indoctrinated in the rivalry. They probably grew up around it. Or even if they didn't, they're taught first day about the rivalry. Sure. So it means so much when they get on the field. These guys are here for 6 months, 8 months, and they're out of here. It's another game to them, a lot of them.
Yeah.
And when I said that to them, the light bulb went off. Not like they're dumb, but they said that makes sense. They said to me, Jeremiah Smith, he's from Fort Lauderdale. He didn't grow up in Michigan, Ohio State, but he was taught day one to hate Michigan.
Yeah. Like he had to learn. I saw him. He was on a podcast recently, or somebody was talking about it.
Mhm.
When he visited Ohio State one time, just randomly,
Yeah.
he had some blue stuff on.
Oh,
Like his high school has those colors.
right.
It is what it is. I mean, you live down by it, but it's just you can't do that there.
No, we're not as crazy as them. Like, I mean, I'm literally walking in my seat and there was an usher and she's a nice lady and she's wearing a button that said it's my birthday. And she was quiet, all business. And a Ohio State fan walked by like this and said, "Happy birthday." And she wouldn't fist bump him.
That's a little ridiculous.
It is, but that's how crazy they are there when it comes to this rivalry. We used to be like that with Florida in a way, to a degree. Not as bad, but yeah, I'll never question our rivalries compared to them ever again. But I'm at the point now I can't even look at Mike. I can't even fathom him. I can't even. His press conferences are a joke. And I'm finding that some in the local media are starting to give him a pass now because they don't want to upset the administration.
I think a lot of people, like, depending on the outlet, I don't read the
That's what I'm saying. Some.
I don't read the Democrat, and that's a big one. But
No,
like
247 calls it like it is.
24/7.
They're great.
And on 3/War Chant, those two don't care anymore. But on 3/War Chant, they're the ones that can say stuff and kind of get away with it because they're the OG of that industry.
Right.
So I'm not sure how it's going to go, but like signing day, let's see how many kids flip. There's been like the Sean Johnson kid to flip to Maryland. That's a bad look. But I haven't even talked about it on my podcast because I'm just so numb. I'm going to do one podcast tonight that I post for Wednesday morning. Might do a short pod later on Wednesday, depending on how it goes. But like, I think people need a little break from FSU football.
Oh yeah,
and
I agree.
To be funny.
No,
I may not do a podcast on Thursday or Friday, and just because I'm traveling anyway, and just let people.
Because Mike is talking Friday now. They pushed the press conference from Wednesday to Friday. Not saying I'm looking forward to it because I guess because of signing day, he wants.
Well, do they have somebody that's signing after Wednesday?
Maybe. I think last year he couldn't talk about Usman Kroma till the booster tour because there was no spring football. There was none of that, and he couldn't talk about Usman on signing day. And
that sucks. Yeah, he was a late decision. That's not my
late.
fault, but yeah. I get
so maybe he's doing it because of that. Like that happens. I have from time to time.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't think it's because he's like, I don't want to talk. I think War Chant is some of the guys there being like, all right, we get what the admin did, and I don't. Knowles 247 has been honest. And how, if they, like Florida hired a new coach and a new GM in the same day, and we're still looking for a GM, so you could tell they had no plan for anything. It's a joke. It's a clown show there. It's a circus. I'm embarrassed to like be affiliated with this. And
I try not to even get into the administrative stuff because I know there are things that I don't know about. And I try to report on holistic, but they don't want you to know what's really going on behind the scenes, so you can't be judged. So
exactly.
While I don't do it, War Chant, those other guys do not care.
I think War Chant's been careful. Jeff Cameron, no. He was also
doesn't give a crap.
Yeah, Jeff is the anomaly at War Chant. Aslan asked a fair question last week, and a firestorm broke out.
Which one was
it? A fair question because it was something he did last year and talked about. He just said to Mike last week, "Are you going to donate again to the legacy?"
Oh yeah. I watched that. I remember you sent me that clip.
Yeah,
he looked really uncomfortable
because if he can't use one of his stupid cliches at a press conference, he can't speak.
No, he's a terrible press conference.
Yeah, and Aslan talked about it on the message board yesterday. I'll say it on Karen. He said the guy is a 10-figure coach or 9-figure coach, and it happens all the time. And this is something he talked about in the past, so it wasn't a gotcha question. And he's right. Jeff is great. Ira and Corey kind of just play the. They don't. I mean, I get it when you don't want to upset sources at the school.
When at this point, though, like
who cares?
Yeah, I know. Like they need to not worry about sources,
even if that wasn't the case. I think War Chant after the Amarius Mims thing debacle, has really been on their toes, not to upset them. That's my guess. I'm like they said that because they got some hot water for that. I'm sure, but that happens in reporting. But those 2%, when I listened to them yesterday, and they were like, the transparency is horrible. They're not even looking for a GM till now. Yeah, these guys may be good in business. They're not good with football.
No,
That's the best way I can describe it.
it's oil and water, brother.
Yeah, but anything you wanted to talk about, Brian?
Yeah, there is something. I posted on Locked On Seminoles this morning about the hire for Ford. I think Summerall's a pretty good coach. It's still a risk and all that, but I talked about him on Locked On Seminoles. I had talked about him on the Portal podcast and just in general on social media. He's got a good rep. I live in Alabama. He coached at Troy before he went over to Tulane. He'd coached at both schools before. He's a Southern guy, defensive minded, kind of old school. Yep. And I was looking at their numbers. They're like in the 60s, like defense and stuff. They don't have the same talent as like LSU or Florida State or whatever. But with what they had, they do well. They develop well from their high school ranks, and they find diamonds in the rough. The Darian Mensah kid that's at Duke, they actually recruited him out of LA, got him to go to Tulane, and he was a starter as a freshman.
Yeah.
I said point blank, I said, I don't know who Florida State would have hired if they'd have gotten rid of Mike Norvell via the Axe. But he could have been the coach at Florida State. He's from the same areas that FSU recruits. He's familiar with the area. He's a chill, easygoing guy. He would have fit Tallahassee. I said, if he's very successful at Florida, and again, I'm not saying he will be, he may not. This is going to be one of those guys that got away. And the same thing with Alex Golish, who was at USF. He's now at Auburn. I like him even more because he's an offensive guy. And I think today's era to win it, you got to be able to score.
Oh, yeah.
Be able to score.
Yeah.
And he runs the same offense basically that Tennessee does. And by the way, their quarterback at USF probably headed to Auburn for next year. It would be very interesting.
Yeah.
To that end, I think that Florida State's going to be in a very unique recruiting situation this year. I don't know how it's going to play out. I'll talk more about this after I see signing. I got to see the results and how it finishes for FSU, Florida, and Auburn. I've actually got some notes. Auburn's flipping some guys from random schools, not Florida State related, but they're doing pretty good. I'm a little worried about next year because it has to be an elite knockout, no doubt about it, top 5 kind of class. If Mike has any shot.
Mike couldn't do that on his best day.
I know. And on top of it, you got Golish, who's going to recruit in Florida because he's been at USF for the last 3-4 years, whatever it is. And on top of that, you have the other problem. And that's UF is at least somewhat invigorated for year one of their. I mean, he could be a complete bum.
They have
coach before what? You never know.
Yeah,
but I doubt that very much from what I've heard about John Summerall or Golish. And Miami's going to recruit well.
Right.
Georgia's going like Florida State's in a really weird spot right now. It's just has nothing to do with their administration.
USF is getting a new stadium. They're going to have new facilities.
There could be a few kids that want to stay closer to home. It's going to be on campus, but. All that aside, Florida State still has to do all those things despite. What are the chances of that? 0.1? Like they definitively need a top 5 class.
I take the under on that. No, I agree with you there. I don't think Summerall's a bad hire. Like, I really don't. I just think the optics weren't great for
well,
it
was a contest of who's got the more might.
Yeah.
LSU, like I would rather have the Florida job if I was neutral on it because the whole situation in the state of Louisiana right now is weird with the governor, how he got that gave me the willies.
Right.
And
but it got resolved.
That was awkward. Now the LSU job might be better in general, but if you got that many people involved, I worry about decisions down the road for Kiffin and how that's I see problem
with the Bull Gators.
Well, I mean that could be too, but like this was open-ended intentionally in public.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
That I've never seen that before. And I'm like, Bull Gator Club is infamous for all the wrong reasons. But having stated that, at least they're not public.
That's true. That's true. That's true. Behind the scenes, they're a nightmare.
I don't know how to grade that, man. And there are obviously problems with the AD. They got rid of him, blah, blah, blah. But I need to see Kiffin get all the resources he's allegedly getting without any snafus. They're going to tell you everything that you want to hear up front.
Of course.
Talk to me in a year.
Yeah, I'd say you're always going to win the press conference, especially Lane. He's a good talker.
Yeah, he's good at the microphone.
Oh, he's good. He was good yesterday. Like
Real nice.
really good. I enjoyed his press conference, and I'm not. It has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
But yeah, we find ourselves in an even worse position because a lot of these schools that we recruit against have the new car smell now. Florida's gonna have that bump. They're gonna have it because they're invested. I honestly think if they didn't just have a G5 coach that didn't do well there, they'd be even more excited about Summerall. Because he's what they haven't had in a while. He's a real in-your-face, relentless recruiter. Just maybe it won't work out. Maybe it will. I don't think it's a bad hire. If you weren't going to get Lane, I think they thought they were going big game. That was what they were told. It was Lane Kiffin at first, Marcus Freeman, you name it, who was never going to go there. It was the names you heard. So in their mind, it was like us with Norvell 6 years ago. We heard all these big names, Bob Stoops, all these huge names, and you get Mike Norvell from Memphis. But Mike won the press conference. I don't know how. Hindsight's 2020. Listen, would I love to see him go back to Memphis? Maybe he wakes up and has an epiphany. I don't know. I'm curious. What do you think about the Penn State situation? They seem to be
I did a crossover podcast last night with my buddy that runs the Locked On Penn State site, and we're both just aghast. Like we have no idea because like during the podcast we finished. 30 seconds later, my buddy's like, "Oh, Solani Sataki might end up at Penn State." 15 minutes later, he texted me, "No, he's not going." Like it's just like, are they ever going to hire a coach?
I know. Did you hear why? Possibly is going to happen.
No,
the owner of Crumble Cookies.
Yeah, I know.
He sent a tweet out last night. Looks like I got to get to work. So meaning like whatever.
For those people that don't know, BYU has insanely deep pockets.
They said more than Penn State, even much more.
Oh yeah, like if they want to, they don't want to show that image, but they're paying one player on their basketball team allegedly $7 million. I was like, what?
Yeah, I heard Crumble Cookie is like whatever it takes. They love him there.
Well, so he's an alum. Like BYU people just don't really leave.
No, it's a way of life.
Go to the East Coast. That'd be
no ties there.
Weird. I don't think it's
a West Coast guy. Yeah, it was like, huh? But there's a Todd McShay. There's a report. Todd McShay said that Jimmy Sexton's furious at Penn State with the whole James Franklin situation. I don't know if it's true or not. I'm just saying what he said supposedly, and that he's like blackballing Penn State.
Yeah, come on.
And that could happen. You never know. Who knows if that's the case at Florida State, where he's like, you fire Mike, and I'm going to make your life miserable getting a new coach.
Well, I mean, at this point, if they go through that, they need to fire Mike, and then they need to fire Jimmy Sexton.
I agree. I know Mike has a very close relationship with Jimmy Sexton.
A lot of guys do. And that's
I know they do. But Mike lived in Memphis and coached in Memphis, and that's where Jimmy lives.
So okay. So that's probably a person.
They were more than just agent-client, close relationship.
It is what it is. Then.
I'm sure he's close with all his clients. He's got a lot of them. I'm sure he always best interest. But I'm saying I think with Mike, it's even a little more. Sure. But I promise I wouldn't keep you long, Brian. Anything you want to add, talk about at the end? I always appreciate you coming on.
One more thing, like with the portal coming up, I talked about this on Locked On Seminoles this week as well. Which guys does Florida State prioritize? And I'm not saying I have the answer to this. Prioritize to keep because people are going to try to steal players away.
Yeah.
How does that play out? I just think that's fascinating. I have no answers. But because Florida State's down, you're going to see people like the Desir twins, Kevin Wynn. Everybody's going to get offers. How does that play out? I really don't know.
I don't either.
And if it doesn't go well, Mike's doomed. I mean, no matter who you are, Bobby in his prime, you still got to have players. So
I know we still had top 10 classes. We just had a bad coaching situation, and that was it.
Yep.
So, that's crazy. But that's why I didn't want to bring up any recruits or signing day stuff because I want to direct everyone to Locked On Seminoles.
I appreciate it.
Recruiting stuff, and Brian does an incredible job there.
Yeah, Brian, Wednesday show specifically on recruiting.
Yeah, go to his show. I'll be there too, watching and commenting. Looking forward to it. Brian, thank you so much for coming on again, my friend. Always appreciate chatting with you.
Thank you very much.
Locked On Seminoles. Of course, the comments will be there. Just real quick, just want to say shout out to Ralph in Hawaii. Ralph is the man. Champs, if FSU had a good quarterback this year. Okay, a lot of people say that, and I understand where you're coming from, Champs. I don't think Tommy was the sole reason we were bad this year. I think we would have done better than 5, but I would have taken under 10.
7 or 8. The defense
Yeah,
was too
at best.
inconsistent.
Summerall's Napier 2.0. I think just from a G5 standpoint, I think Summerall's a good coach, man. I do. I know, and Florida fans might think, oh no, we have another Muschamp. But from what I hear, this guy is convinced of wanting an explosive offense. He's opening to listening, like with Spurrier and Meyer. He seems like he's doing the right things, and I hate saying it. And Spurrier took a shot at us yesterday, of course.
He wasn't wrong, though.
And he was not wrong. And I hated that. He was so right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that hurt. But I think Summerall's was a good hire there. It's outside the box, and I think it could work there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's got good recruiting ties. So, Brian, thank you again. Stay tuned to the Rock and Noel channel. Michigan Ohio State vlog is up. Had a good time there. And Brian, keep up the great work. Great talking to you, my friend.
Appreciate it.